Thank you for joining us in today's episode of The Best of Raleigh, your guide to luxury living in the Triangle. And I am so excited about today's guest. She is young and on fire. Her name is Ryley Miller. She is actually an agent on the Coley Group team and has been here since June. She's amazing. You're going to learn so much about Ryley, but also about the journey to buying your first home. And I'm excited to hear from her because not only did she buy her first home this week, she actually built her first home. Ryley, thank you so much for joining.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Ryley.
So I grew up in Cary, North Carolina. So I've lived here my whole life.
So native, which is so uncommon in today's market.
I feel like it is a little bit. I loved growing up in Cary. I then moved to Fuquay, went to high school over there, and then went to college at East Carolina University.
So you love this area.
I do.
Yeah.
I think
what do
it's
you
great.
love most about Raleigh?
I love that you can get to anywhere within a couple of hours. You can go to the beach, have a day trip within a couple of hours, go to the mountains. But really what I love most is that everyone is just so nice here. It's a great community.
Yeah.
I've always felt safe here. And it's easy making friends here because I think just you find genuine people.
I think you do too. That's a great point because a lot of clients who move here from other states, I tell them all the time, like you can literally get out of your car and start to unpack your house and the neighbor's kids are in your house. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like that's so different. But I think it comes down to, we do have some natives, but a lot of our people are moving here from other places and they remember what that was like. So they're very welcoming. And of course we call it Southern hospitality, right?
Exactly. But I think that people have heard that this is what it's like here. And so a lot of people move here for just that reason. They're like, we want something that feels like a community and feels like a family.
I agree. The community piece to Raleigh is a huge piece of it. And growing up here, gosh, you've seen this whole place change so much. Tell us a little bit about that transformation that you've seen.
I would have never guessed that Raleigh would be, number one, number two spot for a real estate market, nonetheless, just like a growing city. But it's been great. I mean, the amount of restaurants and jobs that we have coming here, we have a lot of great shopping coming here. It's the reason that I've stayed. Obviously, I've thought, growing up here, I never thought that I would stay here, but here we are, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
And you're living your best life here. You are out doing stuff all the time. Like, I love following you on Instagram. Of course, we get to work together, so I still get to see you, but I just feel like you're so much fun. You're out doing all the fun things. She's the first one to know about the new restaurants and new places, so it's really great for a 48-year-old to get to live vicariously through these younger women that are joining the team. Now, you mentioned ECU. You've got a background in fashion. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had no idea in high school what I wanted to do. My mom said, if you could do one thing every day, what would you do? And I jokingly said, I would go shopping. And so she said, all right, let's start with a major in fashion. And I just never changed it. I loved it. I loved my professors and the classes. And it just brought out like the business and creative side. With that, I did graduate in 2020. So obviously now I don't do a fashion career.
Yeah.
But I had to shift career paths having graduated in 2020. What I planned to do didn't work out. I was going to go to New York City and work there. And I kind of thought that everything was just going to be on pause for a bit.
Yeah, as it was.
But it got to a point where, that was during the time of COVID. And everything it didn't go as quickly as I wanted or anyone, in the world wanted. So I said, I'm not the type of person to just sit around and not work. And actually a family friend was like, you should do real estate.
Yeah.
So I got my license and really never looked back.
So tell me what that transition was like. Because I have a similar one. But so you came out of college in 2020 in the middle of COVID. Somebody says you should go sell real estate, which is straight commission.
Yeah.
Like, how did your fashion and your business translate into real estate?
I think it was less about, honestly, what I learned in school about fashion and more just about what I learned in school about how I like to work. We did a lot of group projects in that I guess, major.
Yeah.
And I always took lead on those projects. And so I learned a lot about myself in college, just about how I like to work and get work done, and about my drive. I learned a lot just about myself. So I think I definitely knew that I was an entrepreneur and had that entrepreneurial mindset, but that I didn't always know that about myself.
That takes courage, though. It takes courage to go into a straight commission job.
It definitely does. And it was really
What was
hard
that
my
like?
first year.
Yeah.
Really hard. What was it like? Thankfully, I have great parents who let me live with them for the first year that I was in real estate. But I also just never gave up. It's difficult when you don't really have money coming in and you're spending a lot of money on your business. Before I joined your team, I was an individual agent, and I had to learn everything on my own as well. So I learned quickly, and I had a good mentor, but I didn't have a team backing me.
And so you like the team aspect.
I love the team aspect, yeah.
What do you love most?
Well, my best friends are on this team,
Yeah.
I feel like. And there's a big age difference, which is so funny to me, but I love it.
What are you talking about, age difference?
I'm one of the younger agents on
know.
the team. And
If you didn't catch that, she graduated from college in 2020. It's 2024 right now. How old are you?
I just turned 26.
I can't wait to walk you through this story. But yeah, tell me about what you love about the team.
So I think the people that you've brought onto this team all have the same mindset.
Yeah.
And we, want to help each other and see each other thrive, which is huge with this industry. I feel like a lot of people compete with one another, and here we really want to see each other grow.
Yeah.
So I love that, and I also love that you never let any of us give up. Like, if it's been like the hardest week ever, you're like, same, but let's just keep going. Like, that's all we can do. So
Well, I love that you said that, because I do think that's one of the most beautiful things about the team. And I think being on a great team translates not just to real estate, but to anything in life. Like, I created a team because I did not want to work alone. I do not like to be alone. I'm a collaborator. I want to have all my people with me. I believe that together everyone rises. And so I built a team way before I needed a team. But what I love about you being on this team is you have such good relationships with so many other people. And every time I call Ryley or Claire or Robert after 6 o'clock, they're all together. And I'm like, I can't believe that I was an instigator in bringing all of you together. It just makes me so happy.
Me too.
And the service mindset that you talk about, how you cheer each other on and you really like to help each other, that translates a lot to real estate and how you help your clients. So what is it that you're so passionate about with real estate?
I think I work a lot with first-time homebuyers. I think 95% of my business is first-time homebuyers.
And we're going to talk a lot about that.
And a lot of those first-time homebuyers are actually people relocating here as well. So I not only get people buying their first home and have no idea what that's like, but they have no idea what this area is like. So I really have to take the time to share with them, okay, what is it that what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What's important to you? And then I help them pinpoint a location. And then we walk through, all right, let me hold your hand while we go through this process. And I just make it as simple and easy for them to understand.
And what
as
lights
possible.
you up about that? Because you can't do all of that if you're not passionate.
Yeah. I try to look at it from my own perspective. Before I bought a house, I got into real estate knowing nothing. I remember studying for my exam and I was like, what is a pity payment? What is a mortgage? I had no idea.
They don't teach you that stuff in college.
No, they should. They should. And so I have to think back and be like, okay, let's just start like the person in front of me knows absolutely nothing. And so I just try to be as granular as possible. And it's rewarding for me because I always want the client on the other end to have the best experience.
And your clients give you incredible reviews, and I talk to them, so I know that you are giving great service.
Oh, good.
And I want to talk about your journey to buying a home. But
Sure.
before I do that, I want to say, if you guys out there are loving this conversation, we would love it and appreciate it so much if you would give us a follow and leave a review, or give it just a 5-star review. This will help the show so so much. We're really passionate about sharing Raleigh. We really love making sure that you know all the people and the places and the businesses that you need to do business with in our city that we love so much. So that would help out a ton. And I want to also say that this show is sponsored by the Coley Group. And the Coley Group is your go-to for buying, selling, or investing here in the Triangle. Any of those needs that you need, we have people call us and text us every single day who are just like you, who are trying to figure out what town to live in, what neighborhood to live in, what's going to vibe with their lifestyle. And our team loves guiding you through that experience. So all of our contact details are below, and you'll also be able to get it with Ryley right from there. We would love to have you check it out. So Ryley, you're 26 years old. You closed on a house this week.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You know, they say that, I heard a stat from NAR, National Association of Realtors, that says that the median age of the first-time home buyer is 35 years old. You have beat it by 9 years. So what does it feel like to have closed on your own house?
It feels like I've reached a goal. I set this goal for myself a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. And I just said, whatever I need to do to hit that goal, I'm going to do it. And so for me, it was obviously selling more homes and being, not going on vacations, staying in town, working really hard, helping my clients. And I did, me, I love to shop. So I tried to cut back on that a little bit. I did have to work on my savings. But it feels great. I'm really looking forward to decorating it the way that I like, being able to paint some walls, and just having a place that I can call my own. And obviously, your first home isn't going to be your dream home. It's going to be a home that you feel comfortable in, that you feel safe in, that you enjoy, and it's going to get you to your dream home. So I feel great with the place that I picked.
I think that's an important thing for us to dive into because I think a lot of the challenges that first-time buyers are facing right now are that they're focused on not doing anything until they can get to that dream job. And that is showing in the stats, or that dream home. And the stats are saying that because, in your 20s, you're building your career. In your 30s, you're typically building your family. And to be 35 and buying a house is just so odd to me. So when it comes to being a first-time buyer in your 20s, why is that so important to you? Because I'm sure the wealth building piece of it, but articulate that a little bit for us.
I think as far as an investment standpoint, it's an investment that you can enjoy while you're making money off of it. And when I look at it just from a real estate perspective, I knew that I had to do it when I did it because I know the market. And I know the next time that we see rates drop, prices are only going to skyrocket. And I said, I want to be in this house while the prices skyrocket so I can build that equity just as fast.
I love that. I think that's a huge piece of it because I don't think people focus on the wealth building enough.
Right.
Because there are a lot of naysayers and there's a lot of doomsdayers. And it's so crazy. I turn on YouTube or Instagram and I hear all these people giving terrible life advice about how don't buy a house. It's cheaper to rent. Well, yeah, it's cheaper to rent. But last time I checked, the rate on rent was 100%. And they're arguing about 7 or 8%, right? So I think it's terrible advice for someone who is starting their career. How were you able to buy the house? Did you do an FHA loan? Tell me a little bit about your loan.
So the loan, I believe I did 5%.
5% down.
So a conventional. But what really sold me was I did new construction. And so the builder was offering some great incentives, which we're still seeing today. And that was really the only way that I could make it work. It helped pay for my down payment. It helped me buy my rate down. So that incentive really is what sold me on this house.
And those incentives are still prevalent, and I do think it's worth looking into. So if you have questions out there about your particular situation, reach out to Ryley and I. We would be happy to help you navigate that conversation and really look at the numbers from a financial perspective, because a lot of people don't realize that it's easier than you think it is to buy.
Absolutely.
And with builder incentives, some of these builders are throwing $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in package incentives to buy rates down to help you get into a home that you're going to get leveraged appreciation on. And leveraged appreciation is often a term that most people don't understand. Leveraged appreciation is where Ryley took 5%, let's say $10,000, and put it down on a $300,000 house, right? That's not the right numbers, but you get what I'm saying. And the bank loaned the rest of the money. So not only is Ryley getting appreciation on the 5% that she put down, she's getting appreciation on the total purchase price.
Right.
Everything that is loaned in there. And that is a huge thing for someone in their 20s. So when you are in your 30s, you're going to be buying another house, and you're going to take the equity out of this one. You're going to put it in that house. And you're going to get to your dream house faster.
Definitely.
Right?
This is a house, I picked this house because I think it's a good location for an investment opportunity. But something, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I know Gretchen is going to love this. My cash to close was literally the amount of a Go-Yard bag. Like
How much was it?
It was less than $5,000.
Cash to close, less than $5,000.
So I only had to go into my bank account and pull out less than $5,000.
Wow.
When I went to New York the other week, I almost bought a Go-Yard bag, and I said, let me hold off a little bit. So it was a really good feeling, especially with me as a shopper. Like I said, I was like, I just bought a house for the amount of a Go-Yard bag. That is crazy.
It really puts things into perspective. And I think our culture, and probably a little bit of COVID, has taught the millennials of this age, and not even millennials at this point, has taught the 20-year-olds, go spend, credit,
Yeah.
when really that's not necessary. Like, I rent most of my clothes, and I have a stable job and a stable income, but I like nice things, but there are other ways to go about getting them, right? And I think when you start to put that in perspective, where you have a bag versus a house, it's a game changer for your wealth.
It is.
And now I want to talk about the new construction piece, because you built this house from scratch. You picked out the lot, you picked out the house, you picked out all the designs. What was that process like?
So what's funny is I was actually the first call that this neighborhood sales agent got. So they listed it on MLS, and 3 minutes later I called. I had called for one of my clients, who eventually was like, that yard is a little too small for me. And I said, why not me? I started asking her all these questions. So I got first pick of all of the lots in the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
Which was great. So getting in early as soon as you can, on new construction neighborhood, you have, you get better incentives and you get more options. So it's always something to think about. But for me, I was able to pick my lot. The next step was I was able to design the inside of the home.
The maddest I've ever seen you get.
Oh man.
I want to talk about that, because this is, and we're going to talk about the perspective of a real estate agent versus a buyer. And we're going to have her tie these all together. The maddest I've ever seen Ryley get, she basically threw a hissy fit, was after the contract was written, she realized that some of the design selections weren't exactly what she had been shown or thought that they were going to be. She goes back to the agent to renegotiate. And she,
as I do for all of my clients,
as she does for all of her clients. And I said, well, Ryley, they're not going to let you renegotiate that. You already signed the contract. And she goes, oh, yes, they are. Like, and I said, okay, let's talk through how you're going to sell this, how you're going to pitch it to them. So we had a couple conversations, but she was hot. Like, her little cheeks were red. She was not happy. They turned her down, right? They turned you down. They said, no, we're done. You've already gotten all of these incentives. I thought you were going to lose your mind. You were so upset. You were like, how can I not negotiate this for myself when I can negotiate this for all of my clients?
Right. It was a lesson, one for me, which I'm glad I learned it on my own purchase versus one of my clients. But it was just about the flooring. And I was thinking, I gave them all the things. I said, the neighborhood down the road has LVP that's standard and their price point is less. I gave them all the things. But yeah, it's the little things, especially when I do this for a living, and I was on the customer side, and it's very emotional.
Yeah, it is.
So you really have to, it was good for me to go through this experience just to see how my buyers are feeling. Obviously, I get their texts, I get their calls, I can feel their vibes of their stress sometimes, but I haven't actually been on that side until now. So it was a really good experience and learning experience
I
as well.
love that. So after we got all the design selections pulled together, the house starts being built. And I want to just talk through this because I do think it's really important. When you're building a house, that is like a 5, 6, 7, 9 month commitment, and you're in it. And there are always obstacles, right? There's always things. These houses are being built by human beings. Let us not ever forget that. So there's always things that aren't done right, that aren't exactly like the plan. Were there any challenges like that you saw while you were building the house?
So it's
Like a
funny.
door in the wrong place?
It's funny that you say that. I had someone recently ask me if I had buyer's remorse because he was like, I had some on my first purchase. And I was like, I've been through this for 6 months now. There have been multiple times where I was like, did I just do that? But on closing day, it was extremely rewarding. But to answer your question, I mean, yeah, but that's what's also great about new construction. You tell them, hey, the plans are written this way, this is done this way, this is how it needs to look, and they have a specialist to fix it right then and there, or they get it written down and it's fixed the next day. So it's just good, especially having a good agent, a buyer's agent on your side who can double check those things that you might sometimes miss is really important.
I think a lot of people who come into our market aren't familiar with new construction. They're coming out of markets like New York, LA, San Francisco, where there might not be as much new construction. And so navigating that process, I find they have a lot of questions because they're like, well, do I go pick my lot and then do I pick my builder? And the situation that you had, the builder had the whole neighborhood.
Right.
They had the lots, they had the plans, you got to pick design packages, and then they build the house for you. So it's a lot easier, and some people think it's easy and they can do it without an agent. But it's really important that you have someone on your side advocating for you because it is a long process and you don't know all the ins and outs of it if you've never been around it before. So if you're looking for someone to help guide you through the process, there's an expert sitting right here with me, Ryley. So you go to closing and you're so happy, right?
Yeah.
What was that feeling like signing the papers?
I was like, finally, I don't have to see these emails in my inbox anymore. No, but it was, like I said, very rewarding. And I knew that I was going to drive to my new home. I haven't moved in yet. I'm doing that slowly. But it's just exciting.
Yeah.
And I think having people to help you and who are excited for you is also, it's a good feeling.
You should check out her Instagram. We'll give you the handle down below. She's popping a bottle of champagne out in front of the house. So I'm so excited for you. You're setting the bar. So what was it like being the agent versus being the buyer?
I think understanding all of the background work that you get from all of the different people that are tied into this transaction can be really overwhelming. You're getting things from your attorneys during that process. You're getting things from your lender. Obviously, if you have a realtor, you're getting things from them. So it just kind of helped me see, okay, this is what it actually looks like on a buyer's end. And I need to take that and even then make it more simple for them. Maybe put things into text versus an email, because I missed a lot of emails because I'm busy. They have a full-time job too. I know they're busy. So it just taught me a few things of how I'm going to do things a little bit differently and maybe keep it a little more simple.
I love that. And you keep saying simple. Your mom was a principal, a high school principal,
Elementary
right?
school.
Elementary school principal.
Yep.
Even better to keep it simple. So she grew up with this educator.
Yeah.
Who helped keep it simple, and you've got so much of that in your skill set. I want to hear one of your favorite real estate stories, one of your favorite client stories.
I think my favorite one, my most recent favorite one, was a couple who was moving from Manhattan. So they were not used to the area at all. We spent a weekend, exploring Cary, North Raleigh, all of the places that I think that they would enjoy.
All the hot spots.
All the hot spots. And then it came down to another weekend and they were like, all right, we have a strict timeline. We have to make an offer. It actually ended up the very first house that they ever saw with me, we saw like probably 15, was the one they ended up making an offer on. Well, this home had expired within that first time we had seen it and from now. So I stayed in touch with the agent because I knew that they loved it. And this house actually started when it was first listed at 1.5.
We're getting ready to hear a really good story. Let me lean in.
So it expired, which means, it's
off the market.
Been on the market for too long. It's expired now. So we came back and said, hey, I know this is expired, but let's work out a deal. We've seen that the price has dropped a few times. Let's get this done. We can do it really quickly, Submitted an offer for 1.2. They came back and said, we can only do it for 1.3. We're just going to put it back on the market now that the market is getting hot again. And we ran through it as I typically do. Well, we ended up getting the offer accepted at 1.2.
Wow.
So they got a $1.5 million house for 1.2. It was their dream home.
Off market.
And the best part about this is she was like 8 months pregnant at the time.
Wow.
So she moved in and then a month later had her newborn baby. And so they're a really happy family in their dream home now that they saved a lot of money on. So
I bet they are. They're probably paying less in their mortgage than they were paying in Manhattan.
Yep.
And living a much more laid back life. That's a great story. And there's so many components to that. I think having an agent who does stay in touch and who is in the know on situations like that, give people an opportunity to get a deal. Because the first question we get from everybody, right, is where can I get a deal? Where can I find a deal?
You just have to know how to make it work.
Yeah, that's where you find the deals.
Yeah.
Well, Ryley, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a great conversation with you. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Ryley Sells Raleigh. It's Ryley. And other than that, my email is Ryley@thecoleygroup.com.
You can also find her on the Coley Group website. And I want to say thank you to all of you for joining us today. Ryley and we think Raleigh is a pretty awesome place to live, and Cary too, and all of the surrounding suburbs. And the point of this show is to introduce you to the people that are making a difference in this market of Raleigh, Cary, Durham, all the places. We would love it if you would smash that follow button and get up to date on all the people, places, and businesses that you need to do business with here in the Triangle. We drop a new episode every Friday on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. So you can see us on all those socials, and we would love to be a part of your real estate journey. So if you're thinking about making a move in Raleigh or into Raleigh or out of Raleigh, which we don't want you to do that, we want to be your go-to people. So make us your first phone call. You can get all of our details down below, and we'll see you in the next Best of Raleigh.